Welcome into the show. This is Jono.
And this is Micah, and you're listening to Medium Retro.
Micah Thomas. Hello.
What's up, Jono? We're back.
It feels good to be back.
It does. No COVID.
No COVID.
Hanging out again.
You had a very real scare with the COVID again.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of stress and migraine that was making me feel so shitty.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, I am COVID-free.
Yeah.
Just came back negative, which was a positive result. So
that is. I like what you did there.
Yes. I was a little bit worried there for a little bit. Someone I had been around had tested positive. And a few people that they had been around had actually also recently come out to have tested positive too.
Wow.
But I'm good.
I'm glad to hear, because I know you were feeling quite unwell alongside this person testing positive. So
I think part of, like I was saying, I think part of that has more to do with just not getting enough sleep and not taking good enough care of myself. So, take care of yourself in this time and don't trick yourself into thinking you're sick if you're not,
It's very, very good advice. Sleep is important.
Yeah, get those tests,
Cool. Well, I'm glad you're here, Micah. Glad you're healthy. And for all of you out there listening, we appreciate you being in or listening in to Medium Retro. This is your weekly dose of retro gaming goodness. And as always, we like to let you know about our Patreon, where you can see that on mediumretro.com or just by going to patreon.com. And then any reviews that you leave in your favorite podcast app of choice is much appreciated.
Yes. Also, social media wise, make sure to follow us on Twitch and Twitter at Medium Retro and Instagram at Medium Retro Podcast. Yeah, slide into our DMs. We're waiting.
Oh, yes. We're always waiting for your manifestos.
Indeed.
And so normally right now we would do our adult beverage, but as has been the case in the last couple episodes, I'm still doing this detox. I believe this is our last recording session before I'll be hitting the sauce again, as they say.
Time to get sloshed
on the sauce, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I think there'll be like 2 more episodes we're recording without booze. I'm excited to start drinking again.
Yeah, but as someone who just drank last night, I'm kind of down to not drink.
I get it. See, we never drink that much on the show though. So it's like I still feel pretty good the day after.
Yeah. However, last night I drank a lot off the show. I didn't feel super good. You were
at a bonfire? Good. I mean, you have to.
Yeah. Small gathering bonfire. Less than 5 people. But yeah, no. Got a little sloshed myself. And yeah, I'm kind of happy that we're not drinking an alcoholic beverage right now. The water's very nice.
Yes. I'm drinking some good old-fashioned Wawa. Well, cool. Before we dive into our opening segment, I guess I should just tell you people what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about Golden Axe.
Yes, quite a classic.
Yeah, I'm glad this was your suggestion. I'm glad you brought this one into the Medium Retro fold.
Indeed. This is one of my, I don't want to say favorite games. I just have a lot of fond memories with this game. But it's a thoroughly enjoyable, weird, classic.
Extremely short.
Yeah, I was surprised at how short it really was.
It kind of was too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the first in the series. There's a bunch of Golden Axes afterward. We played the first one.
We'll probably end up having to hit those up too.
Yeah.
Apparently, this has spawned a lot of really weird sequels too, not just the standard 1, 2, 3. Like say Streets of Rage. There are some weird games in this franchise. So at some point, I'm gonna have to check this out.
I feel like, did the other Golden Axes, 2, 3, and beyond, did any of those also go to arcade?
I honestly don't know.
I feel like they did, because I remember playing Golden Axe on the arcade, and I remember it being different than what we just played. Because we literally just sat down and played through the entirety of Golden Axe.
I will say that the arcade versions are a little bit different, because they had a little bit higher quality hardware to work with. There are more animations. There are, a little bit more in the way of cutscenes, and also there are actually more moves that a lot of the enemies have.
Yeah.
So it's a simplified version for the Sega Genesis.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get more into Golden Axe, but we're first going to start out with our opening segment of the day, which we're calling Defunctions. Basically, we're talking about game mechanics that were common once upon a time and that you want to see come back. Now, would you like to go first or second, Micah?
I will go first.
Ooh, I like it.
Yes. So, here we go. This is what I want to see more of. Still common, or used to be common, still available, but less common. I want to see some good shoot 'em ups, classic shmups be brought back. Now I'm sure we've seen a little bit in more recent years, but with the resurgence of like indie titles and bringing back a lot of old gameplays, I just haven't seen a lot of this, and I'd like to see more of it personally.
I completely agree. I think I've brought it up on the show before. Pixel Junk Shooter. I think I've once or twice. I'm pretty sure I've brought it up, but that was a classic shmup.
Yeah.
With great music, cool art style. It didn't actually get reviewed that well, and it always kind of bothered me.
Yeah.
I felt like the people who reviewed it just didn't understand what they were going for. They wanted a simple game that you could replay over and over, and they wanted it to be like atmospheric, where you'd get into the game. So yeah, I totally agree. Shmups are amazing. I love shmups.
I would just like more shmups, please.
More shmups, please.
More shmups, please. But yeah, no, I think in this thing too, you'd also put on here game mechanics that are not common that you want to see go away. And I just simply put those click and attack, auto attack RPGs, case in point, things like Warcraft or any of the Dota games. I just don't care for that mechanic personally.
Really?
Yeah. I know I'm a hater, but it's not my style. I don't like to click and then have my character do everything.
Right.
I want to do everything.
But I mean, that's like saying you don't like turn-based role-playing games.
That's different. Because if I'm going to control one character, I don't want to control it that way. I guess is what I'm going to say. If I'm controlling an army, that's different. People are coming, people are going. But I don't know. It just seems like a lot less fun when all you're doing is choosing.
Hey, if you're not into it, you're not into it, man. I haven't played a game like that in quite a while, so I guess I'm kind of indifferent.
Just not my style. But you know what? Maybe one day I could change my mind. I've just really given all that shit a really good shot, and just I can't change my mind yet. I haven't experienced something that's made me feel differently.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Cool. For my answer, it's a bit of a cop out.
Okay.
It's a cop out because it's couch co-op.
No, I highly agree with this statement.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a game mechanic, you could say, but I knew when we were preparing for this episode that, we were going to sit on a couch and play the game together. Mm-hmm. And, it just seemed like the right answer for me because that's a pretty rare feature to be in games these days.
It's very unfortunate that it's rare. I think you get more of it in Nintendo titles these days. Mm-hmm. But even then, a lot of times, it's very limited. And I think a lot of third-party developers kind of expect that you'll be playing with people online rather than being in the same room with people, which I think is kind of a bummer,
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to be able to sit on a couch with someone to play a game.
Yeah, and in the retro era of gaming, AAA games, like the best of the best by the biggest studios, they designed the games with couch co-op in mind.
Yeah.
In this day and age, it's rare that like a AAA high budget, from a major studio, they're really designing it with couch co-op in mind. I think there was a game called like A Way Out, and there was another game that EA made, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago. I forget the name of it. People have every once in a while, but it's just such an afterthought compared to what it used to be. So,
yeah.
Couch co-op.
I mean, I want to see it, make its resurgence as well. So, highly agree with that statement.
Yeah, man. Okay. Well, that was our opening segment. Always good to chat about some kind of random things in video games. That's why I like the opening segments.
It gives you a chance to sort of like think about. See, a lot of times when we do opening segments, it's kind of giving me more ideas about what I want to do for episodes too. Particularly when it's those shame game ones. Talk about titles we feel bad about not having played yet.
And there's so many.
There are too many.
There's so very many.
But yeah, no, I have a list right now of games that I have to finish at some point in the near future, and some very big titles are on there.
I know. I've talked about it on the show that I'm playing Last of Us 2. Mm-hmm. And it's been weeks since I got halfway through the game. I mentioned it on one of our recording sessions. I went weeks without playing it. And so I picked it up again. And that's just like one of many titles that are in my backlog right now. I just need to get through it so I can start jumping into a couple other things.
Dude, there's a lot on my list too. Not least of which is the new 3D Super Mario All-Stars. Still never played Mario 64, and it's sitting there on my shelf waiting for me. So
I mean, if you're going to play it soon, we might as well just do an episode on it because that is a great game.
yeah, totally.
And I picked up that DS so I can get the DS version of Mario 64.
Hell yeah. I almost bought that so many times because it's really cheap. It was one of the, I believe, launch titles for the DS back in the day.
Yeah,
so,
I think it was.
yeah, you can find it for like $16. It's all over the place.
I definitely owned that at one point because I had the OG Silver DS, the very first one. It's a great device. Great device. I might say it's the best Nintendo handheld ever made.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 3DS with its internet capabilities being so good, having the store, that's sort of brought what was the 3DS into the modern era. But that being said, the original DS was really fucking good.
Yeah.
It had a lot of titles in that I really liked.
And just, it's hard to detach, all of the different systems from just how you feel about them now from when they released.
Yeah.
But when the DS released compared to when the 3DS released, the DS was just way more revolutionary than the 3DS was when it came out.
Yeah.
And the 3DS really was just an improvement on why the DS was so good.
I would agree with that for sure. But yeah, I remember when I first played a DS for the first time. I think I played Brain Age first.
That's a great game.
It is a great game. But just being able to use the stylus to just get a lot of detail in there, particularly all the little drawing mini games and stuff, it was fun. It was a good time. It was a good time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. So yeah, we'll get through our backlogs and we'll be talking about a lot of those games too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
We keep saying we're going to talk about more modern games. I just don't think either of us have really gotten to finish a lot of modern games.
It's hard.
Because yeah, I mean, we want to do a Last of Us 2 episode, but we have to do our console swap still. So yeah, we'll get to more modern games at some point. But in the meantime, we have great games like Golden Axe to talk about.
Indeed.
Yeah, man. So the meats and the potatoes, we're going to get into it right now.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I chose Golden Axe. I think this is a game that I never really played until the late 90s for the first time. I know a lot of people had early arcade experiences with this one.
Yeah.
But I just remember for the first time playing this at my friend's house, laughing at all the weird, cutscenes and just really sucking at this game. But it intrigued me so much that over the years I played through it a couple times,
Yeah.
I think I may have beaten it before, but this could have been the first time I've actually legitimately beat the game, though.
I think it is for me. I used to play it on the arcade a lot.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a lot harder on the arcade, too.
They want your quarters, man. Of course it is.
Yeah.
It really wasn't that hard, but, we were able to rewind it. We tried to play it with the Steam version. We had a paid-for version, but we were having issues with controllers.
Yeah.
And my computer that we were playing it on is a little bit older. So then we used an emulator. So yeah, we rewound a little bit.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you're doing that, it's not really ruining the process for me playing classic games, because otherwise you'd just be replaying through the same stuff over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So in the case of a game like Golden Axe that you'd be able to play infinitely anyway if you had an arcade version and just kept feeding quarters, I don't really feel bad about it.
I don't feel bad about it.
I never feel bad about it. Let's
I
be
actually
honest.
never feel bad. It allows me, especially this day and age, it allows me to have time to play all these great games.
Yeah, totally.
I'm glad you chose it though. Very fun time. We were laughing throughout the entire playthrough because there's really weird, quirky things that we'll get to, like the jump kicks and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, totally. And it's fun too to play this, having just done an episode on Streets of Rage not that long ago as well. Because those games are very similar, that classic left to right hack and slash beat 'em up style gameplay is it's a repetitive formula in a lot of ways, but it's fun to play it in different settings like this.
For sure. So why don't you take us through some of these game facts, Micah?
Hell yeah. So to begin, we will talk about the developer, the publisher, or both Sega, obviously, but the designer was Makoto Uchida. He was also the creator of Altered Beast, which I think we've talked a little bit about on this podcast.
I've never actually played Altered Beast.
I've played a little bit of it. It's pretty bad. It used to be super well respected, and it just did not age well at all.
It did not, and apparently was released 1 year before Golden Axe, so I don't know. Golden Axe was a lot of fun to play, so I guess they made a lot of headway in that year.
I suppose so. But yeah, Altered Beast, don't really care for it too much. Golden Axe is still fun to play. The composer is Yu Takada and Jerome Tell.
I think you're doing a great job with these names.
you.
I wouldn't know how to do those ones either. There were a couple tough ones in here.
Yeah. Platform, it was on the arcade originally, but then ported to the Sega Genesis, as well as the Master System. I've only ever played a snippet of the Master System version. It's weird.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's very similar, but very dumbed down. So, strange times. It was also on the TurboGrafx CD and the PC.
I mean, at this point, too, it's pretty much on anything that you can download it. But
Indeed. It's on that classic Sega Genesis and Mega Drive collection that's floating around on every console at this point. But yeah, I've seen it on just about every system since back in the day. So, lots of ports to choose from here. But yeah, anyway, released May 1989. That's about a year after I was born. So, 1 year old me could have played this game.
what do you think you were doing in May 1989?
Probably throwing up on myself,
Pooping your pants?
Yeah, pooping my pants for sure. Hell yeah. But yeah.
I don't know why I think that's so funny. I do.
The thought of myself puking all over myself and pooping my pants now is really funny. Back then I guess it was just to be expected.
Yes. Now, if you make it to May 2089, you'll probably be pooping your pants once again.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
Can't wait.
I hope by then we have a robot that's just taking care of all that shit for me.
Well, like Wall-E, you're just floating around. I like it.
Well, maybe like a Wall-E who cleans your pants for you is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
So, but yeah, this game, still really like it. It's old but still fun, and it spawned a lot of sequels. Like I was saying, I think some of them are supposed to be pretty weird. I've only ever played a snippet of 2 and 3. Never really played through the full games. And I know there's a lot of sequels. There's some more recent ones too that people love to hate on. So I'm interested to dive into those a little bit too.
How recent are they? I didn't actually know that.
Let me see here. I'm gonna have to see because I was reading about one that came out in the 2000s, but I don't know.
Well, maybe we'll do a follow-up on it at some point. I mean, I'd be surprised if there weren't some newer games, because, I mean, Golden Axe, everybody knows Golden Axe.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those, household name titles.
For sure.
So.
All right, well, we have some fun facts here, and we can kind of bounce back and forth reading through some of these. So the first one, apparently, Makoto Uchida, the director, creator of the game, was a huge fan of action films. Because like 1988, 1989, it was like the heyday of like Rambo's and Predator and Van Damme film. Like all of those, which I've always kind of wanted to watch old Steven Seagal films. I never have. Maybe one of these days I'll go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But he was also in particularly fond of Conan the Barbarian, and that was what really inspired this game.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely just see it based on the main characters being very scantily clad looking barbarians,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very scantily clad.
Indeed.
Why would you go to battle in a bikini?
Well, I mean, the dude's going to battle in a loincloth, so, same thing.
Different times, I guess.
Yeah. It's for movement, it's for freedom of movement.
Yes, agility.
Yeah. But to answer your question from earlier, there was a sequel called Golden Axe Beast Rider that was released in 2007, I want to say, is what it looks like, summer 2007. And yeah, from what I understand, fans were not super into it. So that's something I'm going to have to look into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that there was like 2 and 3 released in the, early 90s. And yeah, this is a weird series for sure. But yeah, no, I think the Conan the Barbarian thing is definitely very obvious. And also this game sort of has like, sort of a dark setting that's more like fantasy inspired. Definitely things like, you kind of can see inspiration for things like Lord of the Rings and what was popular in the 70s and 80s. But definitely I think the Conan thing is the most obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. No, Conan the Barbarian I've never actually seen either. And I've always wanted to.
Oh. It's worth watching. It's definitely really weird.
Is it? We're talking the Schwarzenegger one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see it. I mean, that's where Arnold Schwarzenegger got his Hollywood start.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was reading an interview with him, and I think the reason why he got it was because there wasn't a lot of talking
Oh yeah.
in the movie. Previously, he had, Schwarzenegger has all the components for leading, being a lead role, but he had an accent, and people back then weren't super cool about having a leading role with a thick accent. So, yeah.
He also was massive.
He was scarily massive.
People don't realize, if you just watch some of his movies from the 80s on, you don't understand how ginormous he used to be. I mean, he was world's strongest, or whatever the competition, world's strongest man or whatever. It wasn't where they're picking up the stones or whatever. It was just where they're on the stage flexing. I forget the name of those competitions, but that dude was large.
He was very large, and he was very in charge, too.
And then, I mean, he literally was a governor of California, so he was in charge then, too. Kind of crazy.
Indeed. He was large, and then he was in charge.
Yes.
But
Is that what you meant by large and in charge?
No, I was just saying large and in charge, but it's actually funny because, you drew that comparison, and that's very true. But yeah, dude, just to get back to the game here, plot and characters, it has a really sort of like open, like
Well,
the storyline.
we still got some fun facts, Micah. We still got some fun facts to go through.
I actually did not realize I skipped over all these fun facts.
The next one we had listed was, in the beginning, one of the stages you're in is the Turtle Village.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a building that says Deb on it.
Oh, yeah, this is actually pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and nobody knew what Deb was. Is this Deb's place? Like, is this where Deb's hanging out? But Japanese, the language is read from right to left. English is read from left to right. Mm-hmm. And so it's just supposed to be bed. It was an error by the Japanese, the way they read.
That's hilarious. I think a lot of these early games, the Englishy shit is hilarious to look back on now.
Englishy?
Like English.
Oh.
Not, that's what people refer to it as.
Yeah,
I don't know if that actually is something that I shouldn't say anymore.
I don't know either, Micah. People will get mad about anything these days.
No.
So.
I'm certainly not trying to be an asshole, but that's just always what I've heard it referred to as. Like, all your base art belong to us. The classic like mistakes that are made in these old school games. But it's just kind of funny because this is such at the time, a huge game, and it's funny that this just was never fixed.
Yeah. I kind of love it though.
Yeah.
Because it kind of works. It's Deb's house.
Yeah.
It's like if when you came over, there just was a massive sign that said Jono on my house.
Honestly, I think more people should do this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
People won't go to the wrong house.
Dude, that
was a problem in Turtle Village,
Yeah. Everyone will always know where Jono lives in Turtle Village. Many, but not most, or many, if not all, or most of the enemies are named after alcoholic beverages and spirits in this game. That was actually something I did not notice until you pointed it out. Kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Apparently, they really liked their booze while they were making this game. Because they have the credits at the end of the game, and they go through a character scroll of all the enemies in the game, and your 3 characters too. And they all do have names that are somehow alcohol related.
Yeah, which I definitely find endearing. I think there's the malt and hops are 2 of the guys.
Yep, there's one that's like Henninger, which is 1 letter away from a Bavarian beer, I believe. Mm-hmm. It was a while. It was like a week ago when I put this doc together, so I forget the exact ones. But like Bitter, Sergeant Bitter is one. Colonel Bitter, I think is one too.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Another fun fact is that in the Genesis version, I believe in the arcade version, the dwarf character that you can play as, his axe is gold, even though the golden axe is supposed to be owned by the big baddie. But in the Sega Genesis version, there is quite literally no golden axe in the game.
Yeah, once again, a small-ish detail that's kind of hilariously left out of the game.
Lots of brown axes.
They're
definitely not gold.
There are a lot of brown axes in this game. But yeah, Uchida said that Street Fighter was a major influence in the game combat, which I think is actually a really common thing for people who are making beat-em-ups to say. Case in point, Streets of Rage, that was also highly influenced by Street Fighter and a lot of those fighting games as well. Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah, around this, I think Street Fighter, the original one, came out in 1987. So timing makes sense for that.
Hell yeah.
Cool, man. Do you want to take us through some of these plot and character points? I just copied and pasted some of this from Wikipedia because it was, thank you, Wikipedia, for having Such a wealth of information.
Yeah, I think I've said this before, but Wikipedia is a clear sign that human beings can get together and do something decent.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, the game takes place in the land of Uria. An evil entity known as Death Adder has captured the king and his daughter and is holding them captive in the castle. He also finds the golden axe, which is the magical emblem of Uria. He threatens to destroy both the axe and the royal family unless the people of Uria accept him as their ruler.
Not cool.
Which you've decided you are not going to do.
Hell no.
Yeah. I think the reasoning behind each character is different. So Gaius, how would you say the dwarf's name?
I would have said Gilius, but Gilius sounds good too.
He's Gilius Thunderhead from the mines of Wolud.
Oh yeah.
Whose twin brother was killed by soldiers of Death Adder.
Revenge story, classic.
Yeah. The male barbarian named Axe Battler, very original name. He is wielding a 2-hand broadsword. He doesn't even have an axe. I guess he battles against axes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's looking for revenge for the murder of his mother. And then the last long sword wielding Amazonian, Tyrus Flare, her parents were killed by Death Adder, and she's out for her revenge. So yeah, you guys team up and you're just out for blood.
Yeah, quite the trio of revenge for sure. And I just want to point out, I played. So we did the beginner mode in the beginning, which is only like the first level. We didn't know that.
I thought it was going to be the full game.
Yeah, so we did that, and I played as the dwarf, as Gilius Thunderhead. And his axe had a much better hitbox than when I played as Tyrus Flare, the female character. It says she has a long sword. It felt very small.
Yeah.
Very short sword, if I must say so myself.
Axe Battler did not have the range that I wanted him to have.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's just what you got to deal. That's just how they get you on those quarters, man.
It is. So, yeah, I mean, this game, we've already talked about it. It's a beat 'em up, right? Hack and slasher, beat 'em up. But I will say, having the couch co-op is a great part of the gameplay here.
Yeah.
I just, especially these types of games are used to be so much more popular. The Ninja Turtles, Streets of Rage, all of these beat 'em ups back in the day. And so it was a treat to sit down and play this game on the couch today.
I would highly agree with that statement.
Yeah. I read when I was looking into the gameplay for this, because I put this doc together before we played it, and it had been at least a decade or two since I had played Golden Axe.
Yeah.
And it said you could pick up weapons that increase your attack. I'm wondering if in some of the other versions of Golden Axe you can pick up downed weapons, because in this game you can pick up the steeds and ride there's 3 different animals you can ride.
Yeah.
And you pick up the little pots, like vials of magic that make your magic stronger, but you don't pick up any weapons.
Yeah, which would be more fun if you could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, because Streets of Rage, you can pick up weapons.
You pick up bottles and break them and stab people. You can pick up empty, like pipes.
I think there's a knife you get to throw.
Oh, yeah.
The pipe was the best, though.
The pipe was by far the best. You want reach with your pick-upable weapons.
Yeah, I'm playing Last of Us right now, and you pick up different melee weapons throughout the game. And the pipe's a good one. The best one is the machete. That's a one-hit kill right there.
Also a brutal way to go.
Yeah, I mean, getting stabbed in the throat by a machete. But yeah, like I said, there are a couple rideable steeds in a way, I guess you'd call them, or rideable animals. There's like a weird lizard-looking one, and then there's 2 different dragons. The lizard hits you with your tail, hits your enemies with a tail, and then one dragon has like a flamethrower power, and the other one has a fireball that will launch across the screen.
Yeah, I think the little guy's called Chicken Legs, if I remember correctly.
That is right, Chicken Leg.
So, worth mentioning there, too. Some of these enemies have really weird names. A lot of them are like fantasy style, or like we were saying alcohol-related, but Chicken Legs.
I like it.
To have.
You gotta have some chicken legs with your beer, Barbarian.
Yeah. Chicken leg, I think is what he's listed as. So he looks very squat. He's got like full-sized legs, but really no body, just sort of like a big head with a tail. It's a weird creature. Doesn't look like he's, I don't know, natural, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
Looks like the product of an experiment gone wrong.
I wonder if they're eating a chicken leg and they're like, it's kind of skinny at the bottom and fat at the end. We'll turn this into a lizard creature.
Well, damn. If they did, I'm thankful they did. I always liked riding Chicken Leg, too, because he has that cool spin attack. which is
yeah.
nice. It's good range, some good range on it.
One of the things that we didn't notice when we played, this could even be a fun fact because I'm guessing a lot of people play this game and don't realize this. If you take too long on a screen without like progressing forward to the next screen, there will be enemies that will rise from the ground and attack you to like push you forward.
Interesting. I did not actually experience that in any of my playthroughs.
Yeah, I mean we were hammering through pretty fast on this playthrough.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, and I should point out too, so in terms, because we're kind of going through the gameplay stuff right now, obviously it's a hack and slash, so you have your weapon. We already talked about each character's weapons, but you can double tap the forward button and you'll start running, and then if you hit the attack button while you're running, you do like I think yours is a shoulder move forward.
Yeah.
Because you were axe battler. If you play as the lady, she does a front kick, and I spammed the hell out of that front kick.
I feel like with any classic beat 'em up, you have to spam those type of attacks. You know, the run attacks are usually the best, but then also like the jump attacks are usually pretty good. In this game, though, the jump attacks are not very.
They're pretty crap.
Yeah, they're not very useful. So the run attack is the way to go, and also I feel like hers had a good range and hitbox for it.
Oh
so.
yeah, you could almost do it across the entire screen.
Yeah, dude.
Like Liu Kang, you know, just whoop, whatever that Liu Kang noise was.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I love me some Mortal Kombat. And did you know this game has a horde mode? I forget what it was called, and I think I saw it's like dual mode or something like that. It was on the main screen, but it was like horde mode before horde mode.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've played it at some point, but it's been a while, so we'll have to hit that back up soon.
You know, if we get through these recordings today, maybe we'll play a little late night Golden
Late night horde mode. Hell yeah.
All right, man. We have, the enemies, graphics, music. Anything you want to talk about on any of those fronts?
I want to say that the music is fairly simplistic throughout, but that being said, it's interesting because, it's pretty like dark fantasy themed music, but you get some weird like fairy tale-ish, like almost like nursery rhyme sounding music.
Like the credits?
Yeah, the credits have really weird music for sure, but in between every level there's like a little camping scene where these like bandits come and they try to take away your magical pots, and you can like sort of like beat them up to get extra. So yeah, but the music on that one is always just very strange and out of place.
Yeah, it's kind of great though. It's got a little charm to it,
Yeah, exactly. I think anytime you play an old game like this, like the weird aspects like that are the charming bits about it.
Yeah, I will say the music when the game first boots up though, if you just boot it up and get right into the game, it's not annoying, but we were kind of setting things up and it was just on repeat.
Yeah.
It's like over and over and over. I was like, oh my God.
It will grind into your brain until you're unhappy.
I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night screaming because it'll be in my dreams. Haunting my dreams.
Dude, Halloween was yesterday.
You know what sucks about, COVID's the worst. It's ruined everything.
It is indeed the worst.
This Halloween was going to be an epic Halloween for so many reasons. Okay, I don't know if I've ever brought up the 1980s aerobics championship video on YouTube on this show before. If you haven't seen it, you got to look it up. Just type in like 1980s aerobics video. The song "You're a Champion" is playing while these people are dancing to an aerobics routine. It is so hilarious, and we were gonna be that like, as a group for Halloween and like kind of choreograph some moves. That didn't happen.
Oh man!
It was also a blue moon, so that means a blue moon is if there's 2 full moons in 1 month, and so the blue moon fell on Halloween this year, which is super rare. Very cool. It was also daylight savings time, so if you were partying, you would have got an extra hour of partying in.
Yeah, seriously. There are a lot of good things about this Halloween that made it just all got wasted on everyone having to stay home.
I still had fun, though.
Yeah, but the aerobics video you're talking about, I've seen this before. I think you've shown this to me before.
It's one of my favorite videos of online.
But it's like one of those things that's just been going around for so long now. Like, it's been constantly referenced.
You're a champion.
It's great.
Well, cool. Anything else to say before we kind of dive into some of the playthrough notes?
No, just once again, graphics are weird. Music is weird. Enemies are weird.
Yeah.
But it's a fun time.
It's a fun time. Cool. Well, before we get into the playthrough then, I know we're only 30-ish minutes into the episode here, but we're going to get into our happy hour segment where if we receive any questions, comments, manifestos from our listeners, we will bring them up here. And then we also like to talk about something non-video game related that you might enjoy out there that we've been enjoying.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, why don't you kick us off?
Well, I don't know. I hadn't actually given this any thought. I always forget that we do the happy hour. But, I mean, this week has been pretty chill. I've been playing a lot of video games. It's been one of those weeks where I should have been doing more school, but I haven't really been doing more school. But the only real thing I've been doing outside of like video game and getting my shit done, I've been watching Through the Wire more, and I'm getting close to the end now with the first season.
Oh.
So that's been fun. But also, I'm sure you watched it already too. The Mandalorian season 2 just started back.
I have not watched it yet. So I've watched season 1. Me and my brother watched it over Christmas break last year. And so we're waiting to watch season 2 until we're visiting our parents on Christmas break this year.
But I will say that season 2 already is really great.
All right, have you watched the whole thing?
Well, season 2 only has one episode out at the moment.
They're not releasing it Netflix style. They're doing
They're doing one episode at a time, like old school style, which I actually really respect.
I like that.
Them doing it this way. Yeah. Because in all honesty, I like to binge watch, but I think sometimes there's too much pressure to binge watch when it all comes out at once. So having it spaced out like this is easier for me as a consumer to be able to take in everything. But, you know, no spoilers. It's really good so far. I'm actually really excited what they have in store for this season.
Yeah, nice. Well, I'm excited to watch it in its entirety when I'm in Florida visiting my parents. Nice little family-friendly Mandalorian action going on, you know?
Definitely.
Cool. For my happy hour, I have the board game Code Names.
Love it.
You know, I played it at my friend's the other night, and I think it's one of the greatest games out there.
I would have to agree.
Yes. I mean, it's very simple to describe the rules to people. So you can get a group of newbies up and running very quickly. Takes 30 seconds to set up, and when you beat one round, you just flip the cards over and you can start a second round.
Yeah.
And then when you have to start over again, it's very easy just to throw a new round down. If you've never heard of Code Names, basically it's a board game where, not really a board game, it's more like a card game, where there's different tiles and there's a visual version and a word version. And essentially you have a little grid that shows which cards are on your team, so it's blue versus red. And you want to tell your partner with saying you have 2 words you can say, a number and then 1 word. And so if you said 3 orange, you're basically telling your partner that there's 3 cards in the grid that can be tied together with the word orange that are part of your team's colors. And you basically want to be the first team to either get all your cards, or the other team can accidentally select the death card, and then the round's over and that team would lose.
Yeah. It's honestly one of those games where if you have a bunch of people together, there's not a limit to how many people who can play at once. You know, you can have a team of 100 people if you really wanted to.
It'd be very hard.
That would be very hard to get everyone on the same page. But essentially, I think that game is great because it's very easy to explain, but it doesn't stop being fun. And every round's different because the boards are constantly changing based upon what card you have for your essentially your team's key. Yeah, it's great. I love that game. And anytime I get a big group of people together, I'm always trying to get them to play that game.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, honestly, it's like $15. I don't think I really think it's one of the best card/board games out there.
Definitely. And I will say too, there's a lot of different versions. And if you get on a team where you know each other really well, you know, like let's just say like me and my brothers are on a team, we can easily win, you know, because if you understand how each other thinks, you can give each other some really good hints. You know, tying those cards together is fun.
Yeah. That's such a good point. Knowing your team is key.
But dude, I've mopped the floor, and I've also had the floor mopped with me before. You know, that game is a fun time. Yeah,
absolutely, man. All right, shall we get into it?
Let's.
I'm excited. So yeah, I should say we had a bit of a harrowing experience just trying to get these damn controllers to work. I feel like every time we try to do couch co-op these days, it always takes us like 20 minutes just to figure things out.
Technology never wants to work with us, only against us.
But we did. We got the controllers working, and we were up and running, playing this Wonderful game, Golden Axe, with the music that I mentioned playing on repeat the whole time we were trying to figure out the controller situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should just, we should start doing that. Just learning songs with our mouths and just performing them for people.
I think this is a good idea. I think people are into that shit, man.
Stay tuned.
Medium Retro Podcast, now converted to Medium Retro, all vocal.
All vocal.
Yes.
Acapella retro. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I'm into it.
I embarrassed myself. Cool,
I'm gonna
man.
edit that out.
Yeah. Well, let's
not going
just kick us off, man. Walk us through the game, the first level.
Hell
We're
yeah.
in
So
it.
pretty much the game just starts right in. I think if you play in the arcade version, supposedly there's like a cutscene when you're playing as Axe Battler that shows your friend get killed. But otherwise, it sort of like starts and then the main character, whoever's playing as player one, it'll sort of tell you like why they're doing this. Like, like we said, Axe Battler, his friend got killed, so now he's out for revenge. It sort of like says that, and then you just start killing things.
Oh. So because I don't think we saw that with 2 players, so you only see that with 1 player, you're saying.
No, I think it actually does pop up for you. It's a very brief little thing that just says.
Oh, maybe I didn't read it.
It's possible it's not in 2-player, but I played it I've started the game so many times randomly lately in preparation for this that I've seen it a bunch. But once again, arcade version cutscene, normal does not have a cutscene. But yeah, you're just pretty much just like start walking and battling. So yeah, I mean you'll notice right at the bat the graphics are kind of a little bit outdated, but
yeah.
It's interesting.
It is interesting. And you start in Turtle Village and you see that little sign that says Turtle Village with a turtle on top of it, which I always liked.
Yeah, it's a fun time. But yeah, you sort of start fighting all these guys dressed in like green armor. They sort of look like orc-ish, I would say. And yeah, pretty quickly too, after you're making your way through different waves of enemies, when you defeat a wave, it'll tell you to go. Like those classic beat 'em ups will.
Yep.
It'll have like the dun 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 dun, just like trying to indicate to you that you should be moving on. But yeah, you make your way through a couple of rounds of enemies. Quickly, you get one of those chicken legs.
Oh yeah.
Which I love. And yeah, this game is just like super weird right off the bat. It feels a little janky. You'll notice too that the hitboxes are kind of hard to gauge.
Yeah, they really are. The hitboxes just don't seem right at times.
But that being said, just get a chance to immediately start killing some of those orcish-looking enemies, which you kill in mass.
Yeah. Wanted to point out too that when you kill the enemies, they make that noise. And it for whatever reason reminds me of some of the sound effects of when innocent people die and zombies ate my neighbors.
Yeah.
It's
very similar.
But it's the same noise for every single enemy in this entire game when they die.
Well, there is a female version of it, but it's just higher pitched and faster.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was actually in this version that we played, but I've played old versions. I think I had a port on my Game Boy Advance back in the day.
Well, we also know you can't trust my ears because I have terrible hearing. So, I easily could have just missed that.
True. I have terrible hearing as well, so I easily could have just thought that I heard what I didn't hear. But who's to say? At the end of the day, though, the sound effects are pretty funny, pretty janky, and everyone does the exact same scream death sound, which is nice.
We should say, too, there is friendly fire in this game. How many times did I kick you in the back?
Quite a lot.
I'm sorry, Micah.
No, I sliced you a good bit, too. There.
I was spamming that running kick so much that I was just willy-nilly jump kicking. And I might have taken Micah down once or twice or 30 or 40 times.
It's pretty good that we could just rewind,
Yeah.
But I actually like it when co-op games have friendly fire. I think it adds an element of difficulty playing with somebody else, But in these games, too, overall, having 2 players instead of just 1 really makes this game a lot easier because the biggest aspect of games like this is not letting enemies surround you.
Yeah.
And having 2 people to sort of like break up the enemy patterns really helps.
Yeah, because if you get a person on the left and the right, you basically just are on the ground at that point getting pummeled. And there's nothing you can do until they've had their fill of ass kicking.
That's true. A lot of times they will literally take you from full health down to almost dead or sometimes dead. I died a couple times that way. So, tough times. But yeah, I think the only other things worth mentioning in the first level, The design is pretty strange, but interesting. It's more varied than a lot of these beat 'em up games. There is a section where you can actually go sort of up to a higher point on the path, and so you can, both of you can be walking on separate parts, and you get different enemies coming at you.
Yeah.
Also, really quickly too, you get these little stupid bandit guys,
Little thieves.
Yeah, I don't know what they're supposed to be, but to me, they've always looked like squirrels.
They kind of do look a little squirrely.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's supposed to be a sack over their backs, but I've always just seen that as a squirrel tail.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
I did not see that. I'm kind of looking at one now, and I see it a little bit.
They're just weird. Really
But
weird looking.
there's the food thief, and then there's the magic thief.
Yeah. And the first couple levels, you only get magic thieves. But, as you progress, you will find the food thieves.
Yeah.
And food will heal you. And the little pots that the magic thieves drop will sort of like fill up your magic bar. And the more you get, the higher level magical attacks you can do, which are essentially like screen clearing moves,
Yeah.
Very similar to in Streets of Rage when you do that.
For sure. And I actually thought the magic system was pretty cool.
Yeah, I really like it. I think, in all honesty, a lot of these beat 'em ups are not very dynamic, and I think the magic system makes this more fun and gives you more variety as far as like what you can do.
Yeah, so each character, their magic meter, I guess you could call it, it's not really a meter though, is different. So yours that you played, Axe Battler, I think it's 2 magic pots for the first level, and then to get to the second level, you have to get 3 to 4. And then it's just like 1 for level 3 and then 1 for level 4.
Yeah.
Mine was I played as the girl, and I had to get 4 of them just to fill up the first level, So if I wanted to get to level 2, I had to get 5 of those magic pots, but it was very strong once you got there. So I don't know. I thought it was a pretty interesting way that they handled that.
Also, one of the cool things about playing as the Amazonian, it takes 4 to fill up, but every level past only costs 1 to go.
Exactly.
And she actually has the highest level attack, whereas Axe Battler ends at 4. She can go up to all the way to like a level 6 attack. So
Yeah, and that one's cool because I did get up to that one time, and when you get to the highest level with Tyson Flair, I believe her name was something like that. Not Tyson, right? I almost said Tyson Fury, who is the legitimate heavyweight boxing champion of the world right now. I'm combining my superheroes and
Tyson
boxers.
Chicken, when she gets full of chicken. Of magical chicken.
Is her name even? It's Tyrus, it's Tyrus Flair.
Yeah.
I like Tyson Chicken. That's her new name.
Yeah. I like it too.
So yeah, hers when you get max out your magic, like a giant dragon head comes down and just engulfs the entire screen in flame, which was pretty cool. And I think I did the second most powerful, the third most powerful that one time. Took a really long time. It's a very long animation where the little flaming clouds were flying around.
Yeah.
And then one spooky looking cloud kind of flies in. It's this giant like fireball cloud. It's pretty funny.
Her moves are much more detailed than most of the other moves.
Yeah.
When you play as the dwarf, it's almost always going to be like lightning. Either it's going to be coming out of the ground or it's going to be coming from the sky, but it's always lightning.
Yeah. I'm watching a long play right now, and it's just, this game is funny. I don't know. We laughed a lot playing through this game.
Yeah.
Just the jump kicks when the guys would try to come off the screen. If you timed it right, you just keep kicking them over and over. And that's what this guy is doing right now, and it's making me laugh.
Yeah. Weird, funny times.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think for level 1, it sort of ends with a mini boss battle, I want to say. There are these 2 guys at the very end who are just sort of standing there, and they watch you beat everyone else before they finally attack you.
Yeah.
So I guess they just like to watch their minions die first. But yeah, they're just big dudes with hammers.
The jerks.
They're total jerks. They look like jerks.
Mm-hmm. They look the exact same. There's a lot of twins in this game.
Yeah, I think, it maybe being a twin makes you more prone to being evil. I don't know, but in this case, in this game, it seems to. All the good guys, they're not twins. But in any event, they sort of wait there until you kill everyone. And they're just like higher level, like, they're slower moving, but they have a lot higher attack. And at the end of the day, too, they have a lot more health. But, you spam them with some attacks, some running and jump kicks.
Oh, yeah.
You're A-okay.
I mean, let's be honest, Micah. The second half of the game, that's like how we beat the game.
Yeah, you got to spam that shit, man. You just got to be okay with spamming that shit.
Yeah, at what stage do the skeletons come into play? Because I think the skeletons were the hardest, just general enemy that could appear at any point.
There was one
Non-boss
skeleton
enemies.
in level 2 that I know for sure, but they really start to come into play in level 3.
Yeah, they were tough. They were a tough regular enemy.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're even part of the final boss in the game. They're skeletons.
Indeed.
Yeah, so they kind of make a move early on, and then they stick around.
Level 5, or I think level 4 was where they started popping up a hell of a lot, and they're, tough.
Yeah, and we should mention in between stages, there's always like a campfire scene where your characters are taking a nap, and then those little squirrel thieves come in and steal your pots, and then you basically just spend about 20 seconds beating them up.
Yeah. It's kind of cathartic in a way.
Oh,
But yeah, they steal 2 magical pots from you, but I think you can get an additional 3 more in most of these. So it gives you a chance to stack some stuff, and at the very least recover what they stole from you. So, but that's a good reason. Sometimes it's better not to try to save your magic because you might lose it, either this or from dying. I don't know if you lose it when you die, but yeah, I don't like to save my magic. I like
You got to use it.
Yeah.
Use it or lose it.
Precisely.
It's just like in Catan, the board game. There's no reason to hoard cards because you might lose them at any point. Just
Very
spend
true.
them.
Man, I can't tell you how many times I was playing with good old Stu and just had my hand taken from me. Sad times.
It's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
And if you have more than 7 and that fucking thief comes by, wrecked. Wrecked.
I mean, I love me some Catan. That's what we were going to play last night, but then we ended up playing Codenames instead.
Yeah, I think Catan's fun, but some of his code names is more fun because
We were just a little tired.
yeah, Catan can be a lot. It takes a lot to get into it. Also, I feel like Catan's one of those games where you can lose in the first 5 minutes, but it takes you 2 hours to realize that you lost. So
If you have a bad setup, yeah, you can screw yourself right off the bat for sure.
precisely.
So which stage are we on now? 3 or 4?
We just got through 1. We're now in Turtle Village, which has a great intro. You walk through, and immediately all these like screaming villagers come running past you, which is great because that scream sound is so low key, horrible.
Yeah, and I think the first stage was kind of like the walk up to the village, and now we actually see the huts and, like you said, the villagers. Hey, they made those sprites for 1 second of the whole game. I don't think they're in the game again, right?
No, as far as I know, that's the only time you see the villagers, but they are referenced in the credits.
They are.
Yeah,
They
which I love.
definitely are.
They're even given like stats, which I think is hilarious.
The credits just in general are hilarious. It makes me laugh.
But yeah, this probably has more detail than a lot of the other levels do, based on all the backgrounds and the little cabins and whatnot. I mean, it still looks shitty, don't get me wrong, but it's like endearingly so.
Yeah. Very true. And the color palette in this game is not very diverse. I mean, it's like brown and green.
Yeah. It's very like foresty, magic-y, peasant-y, bleak.
Yeah. In the game, the color palette never really changes that much throughout the entire game. It's all very similar. But, you know, this was made in 1989. It's what they did. It's what they had.
Yeah. I also feel like for whatever reason, like, it's almost like stylized to be sort of shitty, you know? And I'll accept that. The tile sets are weird. But at the end of the day, you know, it's kind of what makes this game fun to play now, I feel like, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe if it looked super pretty, I wouldn't care about it.
100%.
Yeah,
And I was going to say, we actually in this stage also get the dragons that you can ride.
Mm-hmm.
Which one did you like more?
I think I actually preferred the blue dragon.
Yeah, I think I did too.
Yeah.
The red one's the fireball one, I believe, right? Where it launches it across the screen. And then the blue dragon, it's more close range, but it's powerful.
Yeah, it's still far. The range is still good enough to get the enemies who have, you know, longer range without getting hurt. So it's pretty useful. But yeah, you get the dragon pretty much right off the bat. Once you sort of clear a few enemies, you get to the village and all those villagers start running and screaming. The dragon is what pops out next, you know, the lady riding the dragon. So knock her off, take the dragon, and it sort of makes the level super easy after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that takes us to level 3, which is where we see Deb in Deb's place. I think online I read people call it Deb's place, and that's what's supposed to be bed, what we were talking about earlier. But you're pretty high up on this one, and there's that scene where you have to jump across the broken bridge. I like to jump kick across it. It's clear half the screen.
It's so weird to have to jump in this game because it's so hard to control a jump. It's really easy to fall off at the end of the day. But the controls are a little bit janky anyway throughout the whole entire game, so you've kind of just gotten used to it at this point, I feel.
Yeah. Well, excuse me, Micah.
Yawn, yawn, yawn.
Yep, so I don't even know how much to say about it because you're pretty much doing the same thing over and over throughout the whole game. It's a beat 'em up, you know what I mean? Some new enemies. This one's cool though because you have another twin boss in front of Deb's place, and they like the Hammer Bros before the Mario Hammer. I guess these were after the Mario Hammer Bros.
Yeah, a little bit, just a tiny bit after. But yeah, the Deb mini boss was kind of a little bit tough. You know, they're big boys.
They are big boys, and I did the same thing to them. This might have been where I really started spamming the jump kick a lot on these guys. And then I was just relentless with it the rest of the game.
I mean, in all honesty, the best way to beat this game is one person distracts the enemies you don't want to deal with, and the other person spams some jump kicks until everyone's dead.
For sure. We were getting our ass kicked on the last boss until we decided to do that. We're like, no, we just need to distract and spam.
Hell yeah. This level also features a boss at the end, too. He's this really tall guy clad in steel armor. You sort of get a couple waves of enemies before you have to face him, but yeah, he's tough enough. But spamming out some magic attacks makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, and you see this guy with the longsword that you're talking about and the shield. We see multiple versions of him throughout the rest of the game, and they get a little bit harder and harder. I think the last level has 2 red versions that we're gonna eventually battle. So another staple of these old beat 'em ups. It's basically reusing the same character design over and over, just changing their color.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Classic, save on space on the console.
For sure. And so I think that's everything with Turtle Village, and we're moving into the Friends Path, which is where the eagle is hanging out.
As it turns out, the Friends Path is a giant eagle. I love how the little text in between levels always tells you what's up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of like this level sort of has a weird, like, crusty dirt texture, which is made all the grosser by realizing that it's supposed to be the body of the eagle you're on. But in any event, there's a good bit of skeletons here, just chilling, hanging out. Eventually, you start to notice, though, as the level goes on, that there are feathers on either side of the path. So, you pretty much pick up what's being put down by the developers here. But yeah, I think like I said, it's like, am I fighting on a bird with dry skin? Eventually you get up and there's skeletons.
That's really gross.
Yeah, it's very gross. There's skeletons, and also these weird guys like pop out of the dirt that look like they're made of dirt. So you might just be fighting.
The more I'm thinking about it, this is all your fault. The more I'm thinking about it, it is pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, it does look like cracked, dirty skin now that the skeletons have just been living in.
The skeletons live there, and you're fighting the dandruff of the giant eagle,
You said that while we were playing, but it didn't really resonate with me, and now that I'm really thinking about it.
You're taking it in.
Yeah, because I was playing, but now I'm just observing.
It's pretty grody if you think about it that way. But, maybe the reason he gives us a ride is because we're fixing his health problems by defeating these skeletons, But yeah, not too hard, not too tough. These skeletons though can get tough. They have better range than you do, so you have to be smart about how you approach them.
They also will like to do the running jumps at you too, and they jump a lot. And there's that one, I think it's on the next stage in the Eagle level, like stage 5, where there's 3 skeletons, but the screen you're on is very small.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think I ended up using my magic because I just wanted to kick their butts.
I'll say getting swarmed by skeletons is a tough time, so you do have to be kind of smart about it.
Yeah. One thing we didn't talk about, when you are attacking somebody with your normal attack, you'll swipe at them a couple times, but then all 3 characters do this. Their animation will change to them basically like taking the butt end of their weapon and just like pounding you on the top of the head. It's just really funny.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good touch.
Yeah. Another thing that made me laugh in this game.
But yeah, once you hit them enemies enough, they sort of like lean down. They're like on the ground being hit, and that's when you're sort of just like butting their helmet in, and then they go flying and half the time they're dead after that.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a good time. But yeah, once you defeat all these enemies, you kill all the skeletons, kill all the dandruff, it is revealed that you are in the Friend's Path, and it turns out the Friend's Path is actually a giant eagle. He decides to take you to the castle.
Yeah. I just watched that stage with all the skeletons that I thought was really hard when we were playing it, but this guy, he walked off the right side, and then the skeletons followed, and then he just shouldered them all off the edge. Because that's
Smart.
something we did use a lot later on, is just knocking enemies off the edges when you can. But sometimes hard to do that.
It can be very tough. But if you have the opportunity to, definitely do it because it saves you a lot of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so at this point, we're pretty much walking up. I think we fight we're walking what looks like you're on like a side of a castle, but we're walking up, and this is when we fight those two red long sword and shield guys.
Totally. I want to mention, too, that as level 5 begins, you actually get off of the eagle, and you're still fighting skeletons and dandruff dudes when you're on the eagle, so it's still apparently plaguing him as you leave. Sad day. But the eagle face is probably the most detailed thing in the whole entire game.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Looks nice.
It does look nice.
Looks nice.
Compared to all the other ugly aspects of this game, it's pretty nice. But yeah, those two red dudes you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's same boss from the last day, or I guess the end of Turtle Village. But there's two of them, and they're red.
Yeah, I
It's
think
a
they're
little more
listed.
challenging.
These guys are listed as Colonel Bitters. Two Colonel Bitters.
They seem pretty bitter.
They do seem pretty bitter.
Not very nice.
Man, we were drinking Topo Chico earlier today, and I was saying it was my hangover cure, but it's best if you add a little bit of bitters into it.
Oh, I have some bitters.
Dude, it really just peps you right up.
I like that.
It's great. It's a good way to feel better.
I gotta say, I am excited to start drinking the booze again.
It'll be a fun time.
Yeah. I feel like there's just a little something missing when we're recording without the alcohol,
The hijinks that ensue from being just a little bit tipsy.
Just a little tipsy, just a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
One of these times, what we should do is stay up for 24 hours and then just see how silly things get when we're completely sleep deprived.
So this is sort of like almost like a miniature version of Pookfest.
Yes. This is Poogfest version 0.5. It's the test.
Pookfest Mini.
Poogfest Mini, yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm down for it.
Oh, hell yeah.
I used to, whenever I was a kid, we used to have some friends who come over, and it was like a family that my family is really good friends with, and we used to have like these nights where we'd stay up all night throughout the whole entire evening to play video games with each other, and like it was like something our parents would let us do only like once a year, and we used to have like video game tournaments and sleep deprivation video game tournaments, and then we'd also do things like we'd have to play video games like hanging upside down off of a couch to try to beat each other after you've been super sleep deprived. Yeah, we can get some.
I like that.
We can pull some of this shit.
I think we need to bring some of that back into the show.
You have to do 5 shots, hang upside down from the pipes in your apartment, and then try to beat.
Are you playing the game upside down?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the blood is rushing to your head. You're sleep deprived, and you're drunk, and you're tired.
Okay.
Just like eye fatigue.
I'm into it.
No eye drops, dry eyes.
But I have contacts. You don't. This isn't fair.
Okay, fine. I'll get eye drops.
All right.
But yeah, no, seriously, it's the old school competitions we used to pull out were pretty fun.
I like that. When you're kids, you do silly things like that. I remember as kids, we would just want to try to stay up all night just to do it.
It was always so hard.
I know.
You get really far in. Our whole entire thing was like Mountain Dew would be the fuel that would keep you awake,
Oh, yeah.
But that only helps so much. Eventually, you get to be like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I would just be like passed out.
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned this before, but when I was most aggressive with those late night, all night gaming sessions and friend sessions was with Warcraft 3.
Oh, yeah.
We would eat Little Debbie's, drink Mountain Dew also, and just play Warcraft 3 all night long.
Yeah. I think it was probably like 3 years ago, but me and my buddy Dan got really into the game 7 Days to Die, which is like a zombie survival, sort of like Minecraft. One time we accidentally stayed up until the sun rose playing that game.
I believe it.
Yeah, it was great.
Accidentally, huh?
Well,
you knew what you were doing.
Pretty much. But also, it's so easy to get sucked into games like that, I haven't really gotten sucked into a video game like that in a very long time. So I'm looking forward to this holiday season.
Yeah.
Getting a little time off, just getting some long video game sessions in like that.
Are you going to be going to visit your family at all?
No, they live in Florida, and I feel like you can visit family right now reasonably, but also I feel like it's about to get worse everywhere, so I don't want to travel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to travel either, but I am going to Florida to visit the family right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see how.
Driving or flying?
Flying.
Oh, scary, man.
I know. I mean, driving's scary too, though. You got to fill up with gas, and you're going into places. I mean,
That's true. Any way you cut it,
I don't know
you're
what
gonna
would
be
be more
exposed to shit.
scarier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think either way, you just gotta be as safe as possible. And
yeah.
when I land and I get into my parents' car, we're gonna douse my clothes in gasoline and light everything on fire.
Hell yeah. I hope you do that in like the airport parking lot.
Yeah,
too.
right in the air. I'll just be butt naked with a pile of burning clothes in front of me.
I don't think anyone will stop you. People understand. It's a weird time,
Yeah, they'll be like, "Yeah, it's COVID.
This is normal.
It's
this is
all
the
right.
new normal.
We'll let it slide." So back to the game though. Instead of burning my COVID clothes, which I'll live stream for everybody too.
Please do. Please do.
We actually fight Death Adder. We are at the end of stage 6, which is after we leave the eagle and everything. And Death Adder was apparently the bad guy. We'll soon find out there's actually an even bigger, badder man out there.
It's true.
But yeah, he was pretty tough. His axe was not gold; it was brown, by the way.
Mr. Brown Axe,
Axe.
was definitely a little bit more on the tough side. Now we were assuming this was going to be the final boss because I'd actually just not remembered that there was going to be a final boss.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used up all my magic here and quite a few lives to defeat this guy.
Yeah, he was tough. He actually has magic. He basically would punch the ground, and the little lightning bolt things would be scattered around the ground. He's pretty tough, and he also had 2 skeletons that were fighting on his behalf as well.
Little assholes.
Little assholes, not cool at all. But yeah, we later find out that Death Adder is 668 pounds and 8 feet tall. So he's a bad, bad man.
Yeah. Bad, heavy man.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, once you defeat him and you let the king and princess down, who have been tied up and hung from the ceiling.
I know. That animation's pretty funny.
It is great. They let you know that sometimes Death Adder went into these back doors and they think there's maybe something back there, so you should go see.
Mm-hmm.
And you do, and it's another level.
And you fight an even bigger, angrier. Well, he's not technically bigger. According to the credits, he's the exact same size.
And the exact same weight, too.
Yes.
But I want to say, too, one of the best things about the level leading up to the final boss is it's sort of like a bunch of pits, and you have this platform that's crisscrossing. The whole time, we just threw every enemy into the pit. We were very careful about lining them up and knocking them in. And it was great, because these are some of the higher level enemies, and we were taking them out in like 2 hits.
For sure. And I mean, you even fight those 2 golden knights, the long sword with the shield guys, and we kind of stood by the edge to get them to come chase after us, and then we would run around and we jump kicked them in there, right into the pit of doom.
It was very satisfying.
It was satisfying.
I'm
satisfied just thinking about it.
Yeah, I know. I want more of this in this game. I'm hoping that we play Golden Axe 2 and it is more filled with pits.
Yes. It is like the best feeling when you kill a boss in like 1 hit,
Indeed.
Yeah, and I think those 2 golden knights are really the last enemies before we fight Deathbringer, I believe his name was.
Yeah, dude. Big ol' baddie.
Deathbringer. And he has even more magic. He actually has the same fire-breathing dragon attack that I mentioned earlier when Tyrus Flare, when she maxes out her magic and then the dragon comes down and breathes fire. He does that to us now.
Which I really hated because half the time he would knock me over and then use it and then I'm just dead.
Yeah.
So, but Deathbringer, his axe is also not golden. It's also brown. And he's also an asshole, but also not impossible. I think what we did was we ended up settling on doing the same thing we did to defeat the last guy, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I think his axe was actually green.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, I'm looking at
because he's green and purple. He looks like an X-Men villain or something.
He could be like some offshoot of like, I don't know, a Sentinel or something.
Yeah, but we did the same thing. So you were walking up and down on the right side of the screen, and the 2 skeletons were just chasing you. And if you timed it right, they could never hit you. And I was on the left side of the screen, just Liu Kang front kicking the crap out of Deathbringer.
Yeah. I gotta say, though, Deathbringer's throne is pretty badass.
Yeah.
2 dragons on either side, this weird demon statue on either side, too, holding what looks like a giant pearl, and then a skeleton built into the throne.
Pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it is pretty hardcore. This guy's not fucking around. He's out for blood,
Luckily, we were also out for blood, and we wanted it more, Micah.
Yeah, indeed.
Because we killed the Deathbringer.
We took him down. I was down to 1 hit, my last life, and my last continue, but we took him down.
We took him down. Pretty cool animation when you do kill him. His axe spins through the air, and then it lands right in his chest. Final blow.
Brutal. Apparently, this final level and final boss were not in the arcade version. This is only a console version.
Interesting.
Level.
All right. I guess that would make sense because Deathbringer's not mentioned in the story at all, so they probably didn't tweak anything else. They just added another level.
Yeah.
And yeah, then we get to maybe the best part of the whole game, which is just the credits.
It is quite strange, the whole entire credit scene. It just gets weirder and weirder as it goes on, too.
Yeah, because it shows all the enemies, and then after the enemies, then it's like the actual credits itself, which tell us about that because it's super goofy.
Yeah, so essentially you have Axe Battler and Barbarian Woman. I'm just not even going to try to say her name right anymore. Tyrus. She's back there. They're both back there like laying down. And then the dwarf is sort of he's picking up and throwing a jumble of letters at an enemy who hits it, and then it goes into the screen as all the credits,
Just
each time.
Like letter ball baseball. I don't know. It's very goofy.
It's strange, but that's how every single name appears on the screen.
Yeah.
So you get to see that animation over and over and over again. And then after, what seems like an eternity, I was just laughing the whole time. Yeah. You get a scene where all of the 3 main characters come forward and they all use their magic at the same time, and then just the word end comes down.
Epic.
Yeah, very epic ending. And that's the end.
Yeah. Just the music's really funny too. I don't know.
The
Just the credits are hilarious.
The music is very goofy. It seems like super out of place in this game, but also it's a nice little change up too.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Golden Axe.
That concludes this game.
Yeah. So are you prepared, sir?
I'm quite prepared.
Quite prepared?
Yes.
Okay. You don't want to come on to an episode of Medium Retro with a ill-prepared anus.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad time.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad time. Well, if you're so prepared, Micah, kick us off.
All right, my first question for you is a pretty obvious one because I've been stating this question since before we recorded both of these. Golden Axe or Streets of Rage? Now that you just played through both of them.
I actually had that question as well because they do kind of go hand in hand of the time, same genre. We played both of them on the show. So I'm a hard Streets of Rage on this one is the answer.
Yeah, I think Streets of Rage is the only real answer here.
Yeah.
Now, I can understand if you had more of a experience as a kid playing Golden Axe, why it might be more beloved. But I think what Golden Axe had, Streets of Rage had more of and better.
And I could also understand if you just like the fantasy aesthetic more than, dirty city street, I don't know, that kind of thing, that brawler. But Streets of Rage is better. The music's so much better, and there's just more style to it,
Yeah, totally. Dude, that music, seriously, in Streets of Rage is so fucking
It's so good. Yeah. I'm ready to play 2, 3, and I really want to play 4, the new one.
I'm telling you, I think 2 is better than 1, and I think 3 is about as good as 2. So I'm stoked to play 4.
Okay. Yeah. I'm excited too. So my first question, if you were going to add a character type to the game, what would it be?
Long range. Holy fuck. I would love to be able to shoot a bow. So maybe like an archer.
Or like an elf character.
Ranger. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
It's a great answer. I was thinking the 2 most obvious ones were going to be like a long range character or a wizard character.
A wizard would be super
So dope. I went with wizard.
Nice.
Gotta have some Gandalf action in there.
I wouldn't mind, a little pointy hat and blue robes, kicking some orcish butt.
I think you're right, though. I think a range character might actually be more fun with the type of game it is.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what the next ones were like because, in all honesty, it's been so long since I played Golden Axe 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. There might be long range enemies.
Yeah. I actually don't know either. I can't remember.
Well, we're gonna have to figure that out.
There's only one way to, Micah.
Hell yeah. My next question for you, what was the weirdest aspect of this game?
The weirdest aspect.
I would say weirdest aspect of the gameplay itself.
The gameplay itself. Okay. I would probably say the hitboxes. They just didn't feel great.
Yeah.
They seemed too short. Sometimes you would think you'd be hitting somebody and you weren't. So I'd say that would be my weirdest. I don't know if that's a cop-out answer, but that's my answer.
No, that's a reasonable answer, I think. I think that's one of the things that most immediately comes to, bear when you're trying to play this game is like it's just really hard sometimes to know if you're going to be able to hit them or not. And you're doing these long swing animations, you think you'd be hitting them, but
yeah,
it
like goes through them.
Perfectly lined up.
Yeah.
I think what I have listed here, and I kind of still stand behind this too, the rideable animals. It's so weirdly done. It's really fun, but it's really weird. And it seems like very unnecessary half the time.
For a game that's so short, they're not really used that much.
They just it's just like a mechanic that's thrown in randomly. But it's not that, it's one of my favorite aspects of the game, but I think it's one of the weirder ones. So that's my answer there.
Sure. I like it. If you were going into battle, it's a two-parter. If you were going into battle, what weapon would you choose of the 3 weapons in the game? And then, if any weapons were on the table, non-projectiles, hand weapons, what would you choose?
Okay, so this is actually a pretty easy one to answer. So, first up, my weapon that I would use is definitely the axe because of its range. I also think that, generally speaking, it looks more deadly than the 2 broadswords that the other characters have. But if I were to be able to choose a weapon that wasn't long range, it would probably have to be one of those halberds. You know what I'm talking about? They're like essentially they're a spear, but then they also have like an axe on the side, and they have a cutting blade too on the other side. So
okay,
they're very effective long range weapons.
But if somebody gets up close to you, you might be in trouble.
Well, that's when you just scream and run away.
Fair.
Yeah. But no, if you're in formation, that's the guy behind you is taking care of you.
It's true.
And the guy behind him is probably taking care of you when they get really close.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I went with your characters, the broadsword, because I feel like yours might have been a little bit longer range than the girls, but it's hard to tell since, I didn't play as your character.
Yeah.
The axe definitely had the range. I just think in real life, axes are a little bit, I feel like they'd be a little harder to really get that death blow.
Well,
it's a smaller blade area.
I feel like with an axe, it would be probably easier since you are swinging and fully putting your weight into it. The axe itself is, generally speaking, heavier than a sword, so you're also, getting all that force going into somebody. I think getting your axe back out of somebody's body would be more difficult, and then the enemies coming at you.
If we're getting into the nitty-gritty here.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty, that would be more difficult to stay alive. But
okay. For my any choice, I went with samurai sword because I think samurai swords are awesome.
Classic katana.
Lightweight, quick, and I could stand next to you if somebody gets past your, what do you call it? What's a halberd?
Halberd.
Halberd, yeah. Then I could stab them short range. So we'll be a good duo.
Hell yeah. Also, okay. I mean, you get that folded steel. It's some high quality shit.
Oh yeah.
Well, sweet. My next question for you. What was your favorite text in this game?
Text?
Yeah. Because there's a lot of funny, weird stuff.
Yeah. Probably some of the stuff at the end when they were rolling through the characters. Because it is funny that they rank them. They get like an A, B, or a C in their stats, I guess. And I think my overall favorite thing is the thieves. It says belongings, and it says what they have in their bag. Yeah. And for the magic thief, it says belongings, pot. I think that was my favorite text. That made me laugh.
I think, this isn't the question I was going to ask, but if you had to hang out with one of the enemies in this game, it'd probably be pot, right? The
hell yeah.
He's got pot, man.
He might steal your shit when you're sleeping, but when you're awake, you're having a good time.
Yeah, you guys are just enjoying pot together.
Yeah, enjoying pot together.
My favorite was definitely, so as the game progresses, a lot of times there's these reveals, but when it's first revealed that the village you were on was on the back of a giant turtle, it says the village was on the back of a giant turtle. The turtle takes us south across the sea. It's just like so weird and out of the blue. It's just like, what the hell, Yeah, I like that.
Not a lot of context, just very brief.
Yeah, but then it's like, the friend path, it's an eagle, and he's flying you guys to the castle. So yeah, I don't know. I just love those weird intros in between the levels. So
yeah, I love it. My next question was Streets of Rage versus Golden Axe, so we'll go to my next one. With the recent release of Streets of Rage 4, do you think we're going to see a new Golden Axe?
I would, in all honesty, the interest, like the general interest in retro video games has gone up a lot. So I think we could very well see it. This game coming back around.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that they've been trying to reboot the series for a while. Keep people interested. And like I was saying, there have been sequels and like weird spin-offs that have happened even in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, in all honesty, if they're not thinking about it, they should be. But
Yeah.
They probably are.
I'm guessing they are too, but I gotta say I'm kind of indifferent to it. Like I do love these types of genres. I kind of want to just see them do a new, more modern thing. It doesn't have to be Golden Axe, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be Streets of Rage. But I am excited that they're bringing them back at all. So, if it has to be a Golden Axe version, sure, I think that'd be cool.
Hell yeah. I think we'd already talked about this, but my next question for you was, have you played any of the sequels?
I have played some of them before, but they are so distant in my memory that I can't really remember too much about them. I feel like I played a lot of Golden Axe on the arcade, and it was a different Golden Axe than what we played today.
Yeah.
So I know I played some other Golden Axes.
Like I was saying, like the Golden Axe in the arcade does have different things about it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times the enemies have more moves. Case in point, those giants, they can actually pick you up and throw you in the arcade version, which they can't do in the Sega Genesis version. But yeah, I'm fairly certain that at some point I've played Golden Axe 2, but I don't really remember it. So I'm interested to definitely dive into those ones again.
Yeah, me too. And I don't know if the other ones were released on arcade, so my memory could have just be, over the last 20 years or so, skewed my memory of Golden Axe on the arcade back in the day,
Yeah.
All right, my last question, since we had one duplicate there. What is the best elemental type for Magic? We're getting Captain Planet on these people here.
So this is not just based on the game, but just generally speaking.
Just general speaking.
Well, I would say that I think, okay, if you were to ask me what my element is, if I was a Magic wielder, what element I would wield, it would probably be Earth. I'm an Earth dragon in the Chinese zodiac.
Oh,
but also
I'm a rabbit.
Oh, interesting. But generally speaking, too, I just think that Earth is like grounded. It's more like focused on just pushing until things get done. So, but that being said, I think my favorite magic is usually like water-based magic because it's very fluid. It can change form. Turn into ice and stab people, or you can do things like use water a lot of times to heal in a lot of video games and fantasy settings, and also like in Avatar, that's what they use it for too. Yeah. And in Avatar, there's blood bending, which is crazy. Using people's own blood in their body to make them do what you want to do.
Whoa.
So fucked up shit, man.
That is pretty fucked up.
Yeah. It was portrayed as being very dark and very taboo in the series.
You're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes, not Avatar: The Blue Guys on the.
That's what I originally thought you were talking about.
Yeah. No. Last Airbender, far superior Avatar, if you ask me.
Fair. I have not seen the cartoon. I've seen like one or two episodes.
I have to say, yesterday, having been Halloween, I had to work in the morning, and so a lot of my coworkers all dressed up. I dressed up as a very basic cowboy. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. It was okay. But the bartender dressed up as Aang from Avatar, and it was a great costume. He had the full like arrow on his head. He had a full costume. It was like the orange and like that sort of like sunflower yellow color.
Is Aang the main guy? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I'm a newbie when it comes to Avatar.
Aang is the last Airbender. He is also the Avatar at the same time, which is sort of someone who's born every like 100 years, or I think it's just cycle. Whenever the Avatar dies, he's born again. But essentially, he's able to control all four elements. That's something that no one else can do. So
very
special
cool
times. But yeah, no, seriously, it was a great costume, great show.
I've heard it's a great show. Maybe one of these days, man. I don't know when. But one of these days.
One of these days.
Okay, my answer kind of lame, but I went with fire. Classic.
Super destructive.
You can smoke people out. You can cause a lot of damage. It's just you can't go wrong with fire.
It's true. You can also do things like use it as an energy source or light a fire without having to find a flint.
Yeah, you cook your food, man. Mm-hmm. If you're on the trail to kick some ass, you're chasing down Death Adder who killed your family.
Fire's the magic you want.
Yeah, and you're cold at night. You create a little fire. If you catch some squirrel, you want to make a squirrel pie. You can heat that bad boy up over your fire.
Hell yeah. Very true.
All
You know?
right.
I can definitely understand
Practical
that.
purposes.
So I got to go first, and I'm also getting to go last since we had a duplicate question.
Yeah, let's do it.
My next question for you is, should the next beat 'em up title we do on the cast be the classic Ninja Turtles beat 'em up that everyone loves, or the X-Men beat 'em up at the arcade 1992's X-Men?
Do I have to choose one of those two?
No, you could throw out another one.
I actually think it should be Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, I loved that.
Because it's
beat 'em
coming
up.
back out. It's been off for a while. I think you talked about it on one of our earlier shows
Yeah.
that you love that game, and I love the series, the actual books, and I love the movie. And it's coming back out. I never played it.
Dude, I got to get on that. I need to figure out how I can get it. I think it's going to only be on PlayStation, right?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna play it, we'll sit down and just
Yeah. It's
get hammered drunk, man, and
Dude,
play through the whole game.
It's cool because it's a beat 'em up, but it also has RPG elements. You're actually upgrading your characters. So, as you progress, a lot of times you're actually going back through earlier levels to get more money to upgrade to be able to go to the next levels too. So there's a little bit of aspects of like grinding to make it overall easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting a couple people together and playing it is a lot of fun. I think it's up to 4 player if I remember correctly.
I actually don't know. I've never played it, so.
Well, it's been a long time. I played it on the original PlayStation 3 version, I do believe, back in the day when it first came out. But yeah, once again, they lost it due to licensing with the music and with the other stuff in the game. So I'm really happy that they're getting back together and getting it all sorted, because that was a really great modern beat 'em up, and that just hadn't been being done at the time in the right way. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's my answer. What was yours?
I was going to say Ninja Turtles because I actually never really gotten into that game, and everyone talks about it all the time. So I'd like to go through it at some point.
I mean, I'm down to do that too. The Scott Pilgrim, I've never played it, and I think that'd be fun to do, but I'm totally down to
I like the Scott Pilgrim one too because it also features an overworld map like in Mario, so you can level select that way. It's not just a linear experience.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's it, man. I think that's the show,
Indeed you do.
as it were,
Golden Axe, another episode. Done.
in the books.
Hell yeah.
I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it was fun because, literally we sat down and played it and then immediately recorded this episode. So, good times.
All right. Very good times, Micah. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
You as well. Take it easy. Hey, cool people. We just wanted to say a quick thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing with this podcast, spread the word.
And if you'd like to support future episodes, we've launched a Patreon. Head over to mediumretro.com or search for us on patreon.com to become a fan of our show. Your support is much appreciated.
Also, follow us on Twitter and Twitch at Medium Retro and at Instagram at Medium Retro Podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.